You'll notice that the left is barely talking about the 5 people who murdered this man, the 5 police officers who murdered Tyre Nichols. They barely talk about them at all. In fact, this is the headline that came from Van Jones at CNN. He said, the police who killed Tyre Nichols were black, but they might still have been driven by racism. And then there's a picture of the 5 of them, 5 black men. The contention from the left here, their argument is that skin color, the fact that these 5 police officers were black, does not matter because the institution of law enforcement, the police force in our nation, the idea that we have these local police forces, community police forces, they say that institution is systemically racist. It was conceived in racism, and therefore it doesn't matter if it's a black man or a white man who work as a police officer. If they are a cog in the wheel of the police force, then they are part of a white supremacist structure. This might explain this viewpoint. Now, we're going to break down why this is wrong in just a second, but this viewpoint explains why there aren't any protests when police kill a white man. Because statistically speaking, police kill a lot more white people every year than they do black people. But where are the riots? Where are the protests? Where's the outrage? Where's the burning and the looting? Where are the tears? Nowhere. The left can't talk about that, whether it's justified or unjustified, the police killing white men. They can't talk about that because otherwise it undermines this narrative. This narrative that it doesn't matter if it's a black cop or a white cop, cops are part of a police system that is a white supremacist institution. So there you have your first contradiction here. We have a white man by the name of Tim Wise, and it's important that he's white because he claims to be an anti-racist educator. Anti-racist is a term that was coined by Ibram X. Kendi. It's a critical race theory type term. Anti-racist means that you can't just be not a racist. You can't be someone who treats other people equally, believes in equality, and has no derogatory feelings towards people who might look differently than you. A traditional understanding of what it means to not be a racist. No. Ibram X. Kendi contends that if you are not actively an anti-racist, then you are complicit in racist institutions, even if as an individual you are not racist. Now, if it sounds convoluted, it's because it's very convoluted. It's an evil way of exploiting people's inherent desire not to be racist and harnessing that into forcing people, exploiting, manipulating them into pushing a radical leftist agenda. So the fact that Tim Wise is an anti-racist educator, and he's a white man, is kind of funny. This is what he tweets, though. He said, anyone who says the killing of Tyre Nichols can't be about racism because the cops were also black really doesn't understand how white supremacy or anti-blackness work. Okay, that's the first one. Then we have an activist, a radical leftist activist named Bree Newsome Bass, who tweets, once again, whiteness is an ideology. There are some black people who believe in it more than some white folks. And this is our first clue to the true agenda behind the left's reaction to the Tyre Nichols videos here. Whiteness is an ideology. So a comment like that, whiteness is an ideology, is an inherently racist statement because you are saying that there is some characteristic, oftentimes a character quality, that is inherently associated with the color of somebody's skin. That's false. That's simply false. Now, this is a black woman making this allegation against white people, and so that kind of racism against white people is tolerated in our society because these people like Tim Wise and Bree Newsome and the critical race theory folks have cowed the American people into being so afraid of violating their woke rules on race that most people won't come to the defense of, in this case, white people who are the subject of racism at the hands of Bree Newsome Bass. This kind of whiteness is an ideology.